Hey guys, Codename Jitsu back with another video. So, SpongeBob isn't known for continuity and connectivity, but when the show started, they very much gave us world building. Like, the SpongeBob universe was evolving. They introduced stuff in the show, and those stuff were kept around after that. They weren't removed. They very much made the show as it's evolving, okay? It's changing. It's moving forward. We get to see the evolution of SpongeBob SquarePants TV show, if you get what I mean. First example is Help Wanted, the pilot episode, aka the very first SpongeBob episode. This is the episode where SpongeBob got to work at the Krusty Krab for the very first time. Like, they could have easily had the show begin with SpongeBob already being working there. Like, they could have had Help Wanted be removed from the show, and you will still not be confused. Like, having the show start with SpongeBob already working in the Krusty Krab, like, you could still skip Help Wanted and you won't be confused. But they did an effort of actually giving us an episode of how SpongeBob got to work there, which is genius. Like, nowadays we are all used of SpongeBob working at the Krusty Krab, so to look back at Help Wanted, you'd be like, damn, this is how he got the job in the first place, which is satisfying. You feel rewarded for watching Help Wanted. They did great world building. Like, you can see Mr. Krabs and Squidward making fun of SpongeBob, not taking him seriously when he was asking for the job. Like, Mr. Krabs was doubting SpongeBob. Like, man, Mr. Krabs, who feels like he's nothing without SpongeBob in the later episodes. Like, he admits so many times that because of SpongeBob he's successful. If it wasn't for SpongeBob, there is no Krabby Patty. So to have Mr. Krabs doubting SpongeBob, the one that is gonna save Mr. Krabs' restaurant, is just great. You can see that things evolved after Help Wanted. Also, they introduced to us Squidward not wanting to work with SpongeBob and the Krusty Krab, which is something that we would see a lot in the later episode. It's not like he hated the fact that SpongeBob is gonna work with him in the first episode and then after that he was cool with SpongeBob. No, you can see that after SpongeBob started working there with Squidward, it changed Squidward's life for the worse, which we see more of in the later episodes. And the most important one, in my opinion, is the fact that SpongeBob would not be working at the Krusty Krab if it wasn't for Patrick. When SpongeBob was gonna enter the Krusty Krab, he got afraid. He thought that he couldn't do it. He doubted himself. But Patrick motivated him to go and work at the Krusty Krab. Yeah, you heard that right, Patrick. Patrick Star, SpongeBob's idiot friend, was the reason SpongeBob had the guts to enter the Krusty Krab and ask for the job. Like, when you watch the show, like when you watch the later SpongeBob episodes with SpongeBob and Patrick, being themselves, having fun, whatever, whether they are jellyfishing, playing tag, or just hanging out, you look at them and be like, Patrick was the reason SpongeBob is working at the Krusty Krab. Like, whenever you are watching SpongeBob working at the Krusty Krab in any SpongeBob episode that takes place at the Krusty Krab, I always want you to remember that Patrick played a huge role in SpongeBob's success, in Mr. Krabs' success, in the Krusty Krab's success. So yeah, I always want you to remember that. Let's move on from Help Wanted to Tea at the Treedom, which is an episode that also evolved the show in a big way. It evolved the SpongeBob universe in a big way. We got to see SpongeBob meet Sandy Cheeks for the very first time. Again, you can skip the episode and just watch a regular SpongeBob episode where he is already friends with Sandy and you wouldn't miss anything. But the fact that there is an actual episode where they showed to us how they met, it's just great. And SpongeBob heard about air for the very first time. He got exposed to air for the very first time when he entered Sandy's dome. And well, the guy was suffocating. But at the end, Sandy gave SpongeBob and Patrick a helmet so they can stay well hydrated. So they can enter her dome without getting exposed to air because of their water helmet. So now that SpongeBob and Patrick knows what air is, whenever they get inside Sandy's dome, they put those helmets on. You can see that they learned that they can't breathe without air, because they didn't even know what air is. But because of Sandy's dome, they finally know that they need water to stay alive, and that they won't be able to breathe if they are exposed to air. And they kept those developments after that episode. Sandy sticked around on the show after her introduction in Tea at the Treedom, and SpongeBob and Patrick finally knew what air was after Tea at the Treedom. So yeah, again, things were evolving. So what about Plankton? Well, they did the same thing. SpongeBob met Plankton for the very first time in the episode, Plankton. Like, this is the very first time SpongeBob seeing the Krabby Patty being stolen, and he didn't even know why it's moving on its own. Mr. Krabs stops Plankton, and he tells SpongeBob about him, and about him wanting to steal the secret formula. So we learned that info with SpongeBob, and while Plankton was kept around in the show after that episode, and after that episode, SpongeBob already knows Plankton, and that's because he met him for the very first time in his introduction episode. Even Bubble Buddy got a sequel episode, like he was created as SpongeBob's imaginary friend in the episode Bubble Buddy. And at the end of the episode, he turned out to be alive, he left to live his own life, and we got a sequel episode titled Bubble Buddy Returns, where things, well, evolved with the character. The guy had a kid, he had a family. Again, he had a kid, and now he wants SpongeBob to babysit him. He wants SpongeBob to babysit his kid. This time, if you skip the first Bubble Buddy episode and watch the second one, you would kinda be confused. So in order to watch Bubble Buddy Returns, you have to watch the original Bubble Buddy episode. So for people who watched the first Bubble Buddy episode back when it came out, and then they watched the second Bubble Buddy episode back when it came out, they very much feel rewarded, you know? Because they already know who is this Bubble Buddy character since they watched the first one. And there is one that I really didn't expect them to do, and that is bring back Plankton's pet, Spot, after his introduction episode. This one caught me off guard, because you see, at least with Sandy and Plankton coming back, like, they are full-fleshed characters, but Spot was a pet, you know? He's a pet. Plankton took him in, and after I finished watching the episode Plankton's Pet, I was not expecting him to make a comeback. In the later episode, again, this is a pet, may I remind you, at least with Sandy and Plankton, you know, they are full-fleshed characters, so them coming back after their introduction episodes, like, makes sense. But Spot, there was no reason to bring him back after his introduction episode. But they did, and that put a smile on my face, actually. He came back in episodes like Spot Returns, Bottle Burglars, Gary and Spot. So yeah, you can see that the writers cared. They could have easily removed him from the show after the episode Plankton's Pet, but they kept him around, which again, it put a smile on my face. And another example of, you know, the SpongeBob universe evolving is the relation between Mr. Krabs and Mrs. Puff. You see, they fell in love for the very first time in Krusty Love, and they could have easily forgot about that relation, but no, they kept it around. We get to see them together in episodes like Whirly Brain, Feral Friends, My Two Krabses, Cookie Cooks, and Buff for Puff. So yeah, I really loved that. So yeah, their relationship kept moving forward, okay? They didn't like removed it from the show or forgot about it. They kept it in the show after Krusty Love. So these are some examples of times when the world of SpongeBob SquarePants was evolving, the SpongeBob SquarePants universe was evolving, the story was evolving, things were changed after those specific episodes. They made the world of SpongeBob feel big and alive because things were evolving and changing and moving forward. So yeah, that's something that I really love about SpongeBob, and I actually hope we can see more of that in the future, because what we got was great, so I would love to see more in the future. So I'm done. So if you guys like this video, then give it a like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I'll catch you all in the next video.